Hello class, this is Demetrius Wilson. We are now on Chapter 9 in Business Marketing, using supply chains to create value for customers. Always about creating that value for the customers. The supply chain includes all of the organizations that impact products before, during, and after their production. So anything that touches your product, whether it be the packaging that's done by another company, whether it be the raw materials, anything in the supply chain, all that's involved is included in this definition. Designing, monitoring, and altering these organizations is called supply chain management. So your supply chain may not be exactly what you want it at the present, but you can change it to be more beneficial towards your business. These organizations are viewed too narrowly by many companies, but some companies consider them to be an integral part of their marketing plans, which is the way that you should be. In the progressive companies, the term value chain is used to signify the importance of the role that they play, right? So how much of how much of importance of a role do you play for the company that's handling their supply chain? Learning objectives. Explain why sourcing and procurement activities are an important part of supply chain management. Describe the reasons why the use of outsourcing and offshoring has grown. Explain some of the drawbacks companies face when they outsource their activities. So we've seen outsourcing, and we've also seen an influx now of insourcing, and there's some videos in the supplemental video section that will kind of explain some of the reasons why. Sourcing and procurement. Sourcing is hiring and evaluating suppliers, and procurement is purchasing the necessary goods and services. So if you have somebody who works in procurement, that's basically the person who runs or manages purchasing. So why outsource? A lot of companies don't like, or not companies, but a lot of consumers don't like the fact that companies outsource, but companies outsource because they need to save a certain amount of money, and they're looking towards their bottom line. So sometimes an outside organization can provide more value. Sometimes outside organization can provide more cost effectiveness. Outside organizations may provide products and services in a more timely manner. So they may be able to do a certain thing better than you can. That's quite possible. They may be able to do it at a more cost effective manner. Those are reasons to outsource. Now just remember that outsourcing doesn't mean that it's in another country. That will be referred to as offshoring. Outsourcing could just mean that someone in Santa Ana creates the skateboards and then gives it to me to finish it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's in another country. Supply chain functions offshore in 2008. So nice graph. I want you to pause it here and check out how much is offshore. You see manufacturing, warehouse and transportation, procurement, returns and customer service, supply chain planning, product development. So that's the percentage that was offshored in 2008. So are there risks in outsourcing? Of course there are. There's risk of control, losing control. A loss of control has consequences in quality and safety because you can't touch and you can't feel and you can't examine every single thing. Quality, more than 1/5 of companies experience quality problems. And safety, redundant safety checks may be necessary if your things aren't done at your facility. Social responsibility and outsourcing, companies come to mind like Nike. Social responsibility or societal well-being, not just all about the profits. Environmental sustainability, least impact on the environment. Maybe in another country, maybe they're not necessarily held to the same standards as the United States. So why firms are growing green? Well, it's good for them. They get government kickbacks, lots of different reasons. It's profitable to do so. 27% are doing so to achieve regulatory compliance, 24% to fulfill customer requirements. Say if there's a request for proposal out, now I have to have solar panels if I'm a company that you want to do business with, right? So maybe I'm doing that to fulfill certain requirements to get certain business. To improve company's image, 20%. To increase the customer's confidence, 16%. And 13% to differentiate the firm from its competitors. Other outsourcing concerns, so logistics of transportation and storing, right? So you have to ship them to me. What happens if the truck falls off the side of the freeway? Anything can happen. Workforce policies on third world companies. So there's this story that I had in a case study in a different business class, and it was a country that just got the entire summer off. And the company that said, hey, we're going to labor looks like it's cheap here. We're going to do this here. And then come to find out that everybody's off for the summer, and it was a big, big mistake for them to go into business there. Some concerns lead to insourcing or moving activities back in-house, as you'll see in the video, in the supplemental video section. Some things like, hey, people in China and India, they know that we are paying to outsource, and so they keep increasing. Oh, this is how much we want, this is how much we want. By the time it gets close to how much I'm paying to somebody in Kentucky, I might as well ship those jobs to Kentucky. Matching sourcing and customer needs. Customers can determine outsourcing and insourcing strategies. The customer is the last link in the supply chain because that's the end user. That's the person who's using it. Recycling and reclaiming programs require the customer's cooperation, like cups from Jamba Juice. That if you take them back to Jamba Juice, they'll recycle them and turn them into cups to be used at a later date. Key takeaways, as always, I want you guys to read those on your own. Sourcing is a process of evaluating and hiring individual businesses to supply goods and services to your business. So that's the definition of sourcing. What do? We want to, evaluate and then decide on businesses that we want to do business with. So read the rest of key takeaways. As always, they're great key terms that will help you with the quiz questions and the test questions as well. Learning objectives, explain why demand planning adds value to products, describe the role inventory plays when it comes to marketing products, and list the reasons why firms collaborate with one another for the purposes of inventory control and demand planning. So you have to have demand planning because you don't want to be caught if 300,000 people want your product and you don't have any made. And you also don't want to be caught if nobody wants your product and you have 300,000 units made and they're just sitting there. So, of course, you have forecasting. Demand planning is a process of estimating how much a good or service that a customer will buy, right? So we have to plan how much do we think that they're going to buy. Now, we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know exactly how much, but we want to be in the vicinity. Production scheduling is the management of resources, events, and processes needed to create an offering. And lead time is the amount of time it takes for a customer to receive a good or service once it's been ordered. So I ordered something from Amazon. How long does it take to get to me? And what are the other options in there? Is it same day shipping, 2-hour shipping, 1 week shipping? Sourcing and forecasting. So sourcing decisions, deciding which suppliers to use, are generally made periodically, right? So on a yearly basis, we don't every month decide, hey, let's send our outsourcing over here or send it over there. Forecasting decisions are made more frequently. So for instance, in my company, we forecast on a monthly basis. We forecast for the year, but then it's split up month to month. As an example, the world economy fell precipitously in 2008, and market forecasts on 2007 data alone will lead to costly overproduction. So you have to remember, if I'm only looking back a year, maybe that doesn't tell me exactly what is going to occur this year. Maybe I need to take like a 5-year wrap and look at that and make my decision from there, because maybe something happened in 2015 that definitely wouldn't happen in 2016. Could be weather, just weather patterns that came out of nowhere, destroyed the oranges in Florida or something like that. Supply chain managing. Supply chain managers consult with marketing managers and sales executives when they are generating demand forecasts. It's good to collaborate and come out with the best forecast. Firms also look to their supply chain partners to help with their demand planning, right? So help us with our business. We want to understand so that we can help you understand how much product we're going to buy from you. In collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment, supply chain partnerships share information and coordinate their operations, right? Like me moving my skateboard plant right next to your wood plant where you finish and grind wood for skateboards. Now we don't have any shipping and handling because our businesses are right next door to each other. Integrating the supply chain and planning. Supply chain visibility, the trend is clearly toward more shared information, right? A lot of transparency. Demand planning software synthesizes a variety of factors to better predict a firm's demand. Inventory control, the process of ensuring your firm has adequate amount of products to meet the customer's needs. So we have to, have enough. If they want it, we should have it. Goal of inventory management is to avoid stock out. So, you want to manage your inventory so you don't run out of stock, and then also that you don't have too much stock on hand. Inventory terms, so these are good things for you to know. If you're in the industry, you already know these terms. Safety stock, backup inventory that serves as a buffer in case of surge of demand. Shrinkage, used to describe a reduction or loss in inventory due to shoplifting, employee theft, paperwork errors, and supplier fraud, right? So these things do happen. Just-in-time inventory, which is very hard to do. A lot of companies try it, but they don't do it successfully. A system in which a firm keeps very little inventory on hand. Instead, suppliers ship inventory as needed. And vendor managed inventory, the practice of having your suppliers manage your inventories. Mass customization, Dell's inventory and production system allows customers to customize their computer. We want you to customize it, then we're going to, get all those parts, put it together, and send it to you. Dell keeps its inventory levels low. It has components on hand which can be configured to suit customer preferences. Product tracking, that's always big. We get emails, hey, where's my tracking email on my product? I want to see where it's at, right? I want to see every blip on the map of where my product is. Product is on 133rd Street. I can't wait to get it. Electronic product code, similar to a barcode, only it's better because the number is on, it's truly unique. Radio frequency identification emits radio signals that can record and track shipments. More key takeaways are the best marketing decisions and supplier selections aren't enough if your company's demand and forecasts are wrong. So if the demand and forecasts for what's going to be demanded are wrong, then everything else I do is going to be shot, because either I'm losing money because I don't have enough inventory on hand to sell, or I've already lost money because I bought too much inventory. So read the rest of the key takeaways. As always, they're great things. More learning objectives. Understand the role warehouses and distribution centers play in the supply chain. Outline the transportation modes firms have to choose from, and the advantages and disadvantages of both, right? There are always the advantages and disadvantages, so always these different options. Don't just be boxed into one or two. Warehouse and distribution centers. Warehouses need to accommodate supply and demand changes for products, right? Trends towards smaller warehouses leave less product on hand, so we're not spending so much money. And let's see if we can actually manage the process and know how much is going in and out. Distribution centers are warehouses or storage facilities where the emphasis is on processing and moving goods to wholesalers, retailers, or consumers rather than onto storage. We don't want to, and that's the trend, we don't want to have things in storage. We want to know and be able to forecast exactly how many units we need to sell. How distribution centers function. So you have your stock keeping unit or your SKU number. A lot of times you hear that in the industry. So unique ID numbers used to find products. Automation. Robots are used to pick products, like with Amazon. Electronic data interchange. Computer-to-computer document exchange. Transportation, logistics is always going to be involved if you're dealing with shipping products. The physical flow of materials in the supply chain. That's what logistics are. So trucks, still, that's the most prevalent way to do it. More products are shipped by truck than any other means. Most products have some trucking. Water, international trade could scarcely be conducted without cargo shipping, right? So you think about the docks and the ports, the Port of LA, the Port of Long Beach, how big they are. High cost of air transport limits use to time-sensitive products. Railroads, a lot of times you see the wood just stacked up on the railroad as it goes down the railway. In terms of speed and cost, shipping by rail falls somewhere between truck and water transportation. They do what ships do, except over land. Pipelines, generally used to transport oil, natural gas, and chemicals, definitely need to be careful there. More key takeaways. Some firms store products until their prices increase. Distribution center is a warehouse or storage facility, whereas the emphasis is on processing and moving goods on to other parts of the actual supply chain. Read the rest of the key takeaways for you. Pause it right there, read it, or read it from the resources section in TalentNet. Last learning objectives, understand why being able to trace products is important to organizations and their customers. Explain the what reverse logistics is and why firms utilize it. Well, think about it. Why do you need to know where your product is? Because you want to say, I expected it to be here. It's a Valentine's Day gift. And if it's not here on Valentine's Day, then we're going to have a problem. Track and trace systems that electronically record the path shipments take. has become almost as important to businesses as shipping costs themselves, right? So it's hey, we want to know these things even more than the actual shipping costs. Today, more products shipments can be traced using GPS, RFID, and barcodes to track individual products, which is harder. Consumers are more interested than ever to know where their products come from and when they will arrive. Right? Where is this coming? Is this hoverboard coming from Japan, or is it coming from Cyprus? If it's coming from Cyprus, I feel like I'm going to get it on time, and I feel like it's going to be pretty good quality. Companies are working to develop systems that one day make it possible to trace all products. Reverse logistics. Running products and materials backwards through the supply chain to extract value from them, right? So you always do things like this to see what type of value you can extract. Most companies set a reverse logistics system to turn trash into cash, right? Just like we talked about the recycling, you bring the recycle back to us, it's going to save us money on making new cups, and we're going to, look good for the government. A recent study suggests companies can recover up to 0.3% of their annual sales this way, which for Best Buy would amount to $100 million per year. I would say I'm pretty interested in saving $100 million a year. Upcycling is a process to extract value from waste and using it to create new products, just like I talked about in recycling the Jamba Juice cups. Last key takeaways, being able to trace products helps a company anticipate events that could disrupt the supply chain, figure out what those events are, either avoid them or destroy them. Consumers are more interested than ever in knowing where their products come from, particularly when there is a contamination problem with an offering, like for instance, if the cantaloupes are all poison, but it's just the cantaloupes that are coming from Arizona, then those are the ones that we're going to stay away from. All right, so that's it for Chapter 9, 33 slides. There you go in a nutshell. On to Chapter 10. And as always, have a good day. Have a great week. Be sure to take your quiz. Be sure to be on the lookout for the upcoming test number 2 as well.